Now at 5, an area hospital says it's caring for the highest number of COVID-19 patients in weeks.
More than 5 million Americans tested positive for COVID just last week. I'm Michael George with why numbers are dropping in one part of the country.
And Oklahoma's governor announces a new plan to ease the teacher shortage in the state.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Mercy Hospital announces they're currently caring for 62 COVID patients, the highest they've seen in weeks. This is KOAM News at 5. One of those patients, 8 are on ventilators. Michael Herr, the vice president of operations at Mercy Hospital, says while the high number isn't affecting areas of the hospital like operating rooms, it has slowed down their emergency room.
It takes a little bit more time to treat and care for these patients, obviously get them admitted, and creates capacity challenges naturally because you're taking care of 62 patients otherwise that may not have been there. So when the census tends to creep, you do run into, as a facility, some capacity challenges.
Of Mercy's 62 COVID patients, 9 are fully vaccinated, meaning they have received at least 2 doses of a COVID vaccine. But when they received their vaccine, as well as their booster status, was unknown. Some Americans were able to order free at-home COVID tests before the government's official website rollout tomorrow. This news comes as the Omicron-driven surge is raging in many parts of the country. Michael George reports from New York, where the city seems to be turning a corner.
Getting your hands on those at-home COVID tests may soon get a little easier. Tuesday, the Biden administration quietly tested its website for Americans to order free tests delivered to their doorstep.
Are these orders being registered? Are they going to be able to
that's beta testing. Okay. So meaning we're going to launch it formally tomorrow morning.
California has now tallied more than 7 million coronavirus cases, just 1 week after surpassing the 6 million mark. New state guidelines would allow healthcare facilities to immediately bring back workers who test positive for COVID but are asymptomatic.
We don't have choices in some areas.
Rising case counts forced Houston schools and offices to close for another day. But hospitalizations and cases in New York City are dropping fast, prompting the mayor to keep schools open and predict victory.
Let's be clear on this. We are winning.
The mayor credits the city's high vaccination rates for the success, with 16 million doses administered, including 2.5 million boosters. Vaccination rates and public health policies are inconsistent across the country. During a virtual panel at the World Economic Forum Monday, Dr. Anthony Fauci lamented the pushback against safety measures.
Reluctance to wear masks, reluctance to promote vaccination. We know if we all pull together as a society, we would be much, much better off.
He said the chance of eradicating COVID altogether is not likely. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Public government tracking data shows at points more than 750 people were accessing the test order website. Some users reported trouble with the address verification tool. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt announced an emergency executive order he hopes will ease the teacher shortage and keep schools open. Among other things, it'll authorize employees at Oklahoma state agencies to substitute teach at schools across the state. The announcement comes as many Oklahoma schools have been unable to staff classrooms adequately for in-person learning.
So I'm asking all state employees to see what they can do because in-person learning is so important for the future of that specific child, but also for the state of Oklahoma.
The plan will be implemented by Oklahoma's Secretary of Education, Ryan Walters. Pittsburgh voters today are deciding whether to approve a $16.5 million school bond. The bond would fund renovations and improvements to the Pittsburgh Middle School and would continue the current mill levy through 2045. You do still have time to vote. The polls are open until 7 p.m. Nice day out there. Doug Heddy joins us.
Yeah, it turned out to be a great day. High temps into the lower 60s during the afternoon, which we will definitely take because we're going to have some big changes rolling in as we go through the next few days. Clouds have been increasing, nothing underneath the clouds, so we are dry. But here's our next little wave out across parts of Arizona into New Mexico. It's a weak system, but what it is going to do is drag in some colder air. It's not cold right now. We're sitting mainly into the mid-50s. But if we look to the north, you can see that Arctic air is looming. So this is going to be our third Arctic shot that we've had so far in the winter months. We're going to drop back through the 50s, 40s, eventually into the 30s by morning. We are going to have some rain chances, and even portions of the region will pick up a little bit of snow. We'll break that down for you here in just a bit.
See you then. Senate Democrats are pressing forward on voting rights bills, starting the debate today. A procedural vote could come as soon as tomorrow, but Republicans are expected to block it from getting the required 60 votes in the evenly divided Senate. And not all Democrats support changing Senate rules to pass the bills with a simple majority. The U.S. Secretary of State will head to Ukraine this week as the country faces its latest Russian threat. According to the State Department, Secretary Antony Blinken will meet with Ukraine's president and foreign minister. This comes as U.S. intelligence suggests Russia is preparing to invade the country and has thousands of its troops on the Ukrainian border. The State Department says Blinken will affirm America's commitment to Ukraine during the trip. Authorities in the Pacific island nation of Tonga say that country is facing an unprecedented disaster after a volcano erupted. The eruption triggered a tsunami that tore across the Pacific, hitting countries like Fiji, an island 500 miles away from the volcano. Australia's Navy today set off on a mission to deliver badly needed supplies to Tonga. Still ahead, the TSA says it found a record number of guns at airport checkpoints last year. And next in Health Watch, some tips to decrease your risk of falling as you get older. Topping today's Health Watch, Chinese scientists are learning more about how lung cancer tumors thrive and a new way to fight them. New peer-reviewed findings from the Chinese Academy of Sciences show that a type of RNA called lysine cell death regulator helps drive tumor growth and survival, and targeting lysine is a promising cancer treatment strategy. Preschool is when so much learning starts, and the American College of Cardiology says that should include learning about heart health too. A new study finds school-based programs teaching healthy habits for diet, exercise, and emotion management can create a lasting lifestyle change. And the programs are most effective at ages 4 to 5. Every 20 minutes, an older adult dies from injuries sustained from a fall. In fact, falls are the most common cause of traumatic brain injury and fracture for seniors. The annual medical cost of treating people who fall is an estimated $30 billion. That number is expected to rise as the population ages. But there are things you can do to decrease your risk of falling.
I was walking from the living room to my bedroom, and I fell. I laid in the yard for about 2.5 hours before the next door neighbor saw me laying there. I had fallen so often, and I was on the first name basis with the firefighters.
Sarah and Patricia laugh about it now, but falls are frightening and common for older adults. In fact, older adults without any risk factors have a 25 to 33% chance of falling. But
if you have 4 or more risk factors, you have an 80% chance of falling.
Occupational therapist Susan Stark spearheaded a study to see if in-home behavioral intervention changed the odds of falling.
It can be things like adding a grab rail or changing the way you do something, like turning on a light before you walk down the stairs.
Emily Somerville visited Sarah 3 times. She witnessed firsthand what Sarah was doing that put her in harm's way.
So we added this grab bar here for these 2 steps as she comes down or up the stairs down here.
Other simple but effective solutions, adding a grab bar for getting in and out of the shower and on and off the toilet. A tub bench can also help get in and out safely. Stark's study saw a 40% reduction in falls.
So we didn't only reduce falls, we actually reduced overall healthcare costs.
The study found they were saving over $2 on medical care for every dollar spent in prevention. The average per-person cost of intervention was $765, and per-person declines in healthcare costs were estimated to be about $1,600. While there is evidence to support the cost benefit of home modification in the United Kingdom, Australia, and Germany, This study is the first to demonstrate the effectiveness of a community-based approach here in the U.S. Have you ever wondered how your brain keeps you safe when you're sleeping? Well, researchers at the University of Salzburg studied sleeping adults exposed to familiar and unfamiliar voices and found only the unfamiliar voices triggered the brain's alert system to wake them. More evidence that while we sleep, the brain is actually hard at work. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, 2 telecom giants announced delays in the rollout of 5G near airports.
Plus, we've had a great Tuesday for us today, but Arctic Air is returning. We're going to look at that coming up. Hey, it's turned out to be a pretty good Tuesday for us today. We had quite a bit of sunshine earlier today. Clouds have increased, but our high temps all the way up into lower 60s during the afternoon, so well above where we should be for this time of the year. Nice shot, Indigo Sky. Indigo Sky is just outside of Seneca, Missouri, as the sun is beginning to set. But still, temperatures around the region in general look pretty good. 51 Nevada, 55 in Neosho, 57 in Miami. Parsons is checking in at about 57 degrees. But looming to the north, look at the Arctic air up across North, South Dakota, and this Arctic air is going to start to work in as we go into the daytime hours for us tomorrow. Also, it's going to stay kind of windy. It's been kind of windy today. We've had these south winds. These will switch around toward the north as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Great shot. Look at the sunset. You have those mid and upper level clouds. Currently outside sitting at 56. South winds at about 10. Humidity is at 53%. Through the evening hours, we slide back through the 50s, 40s. We'll drop into the 30s. We'll just continue to drop as we go into the daytime hours for us tomorrow. A lot of clouds have been increasing over the past several hours, but in general, it looks okay for us right now, but the clouds will continue to thicken up as we go into the overnight hours tonight. Here's our Arctic front, so to our north, here's our next little wave. These two will kind of combine up. You can obviously see there's not much in the way of moisture, so we're not going to get much in the way of moisture out of this system, but it will bring in the colder air. The main upper level wave is out across parts of Arizona, which is going to kind of scoot right across the southern plains as we go through the next 24 hours. Let's go through time. Let's break this down. Here's about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Here's our front in our northern counties. Light showers developing mainly along and south of Interstate 44. If you live north of I-44, I don't expect any kind of moisture as we go through the next day. By morning, showers in our southern counties. Look how our temperatures are dropping into the 30s. And then as we go through mid-morning, you can start to see some pink, which is popping up from Grand Lake over toward Neosho, McDonald County, Berry County. This is most likely going to be sleet. Temperatures dropping into the 20s. Then it switches over to a little bit of light snow, again, along and south of I-44. Temperatures continue to drop, and then any snow that does pop up will be out of here by the time we head into mid to late afternoon. 38 in the morning, 29 by noon. We keep going down, 26 by the time we head into late afternoon. We clear out tomorrow night. We drop near 10. So a cold night. And then on Thursday, we just don't really rebound. We only get up into the 20s for highs. All right, any light sleet or snow south of I-44, very light amounts. A dusting, maybe to a half an inch, could be a couple little slick spots. So be careful if you live in our far southern counties. Look at our wind chills starting to drop into the 20s by morning. They continue to drop. Wind chills by afternoon are going to feel about 10. And then by Thursday morning, wind chills 0 to -5 below 0. So it's going to get cold. All right, 20s tomorrow. Some light snow showers, southern counties. 11 tomorrow night, 27 on Thursday, 10 Thursday night. The rest of the week is going to be cold. But by Sunday, if you're heading up to Arrowhead, back to 48.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Boy, quite a change in the coming 24 hours.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Todd. Coming up, a record number of guns confiscated by the TSA last year. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Randy Nelson served in the U.S. Army from 1988 to 2005. His hometown, Hume, Missouri. And we salute Randy Nelson, a four-state hero. You can learn about lots of other heroes, more than 3,000 of them in our database from all across this area. You can also submit a hero of your own anytime. It's very simple. You just go to our website. It's KOAMnewsnow.com. Topping today's Consumer Watch, AT&T and Verizon say they're delaying their 5G rollout on some towers around airports. AT&T has said all other towers will be deployed as scheduled tomorrow. This comes after CEOs from 10 airlines asked the Biden administration to intervene in the already delayed rollout. Airlines estimate 1,000 flight disruptions per day because of possible interference with radar altimeters the pilots use to land in low visibility conditions. But the telecommunications industry has said these fears are unfounded and that there have not been problems in other countries with 5G. One of the biggest tech acquisitions in years is expected to go through. Microsoft announced it'll pay nearly $70 billion cash for its acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard is the video game studio behind blockbuster hits like Warcraft, Overwatch, and Call of Duty. This transition will make Microsoft the third largest gaming company by revenue. First, the agreement has to go through a regulatory review and Activision Blizzard shareholder approval. FedEx is asking the government for a green light to add lasers to its jets to defend against incoming missiles. The shipping giant filed paperwork Friday, proposing to add hardware that would throw off heat-seeking missiles by steering laser energy towards the projectiles. The company cited several incidents overseas where civilian aircraft were attacked. The TSA says 6,000 guns were found at checkpoints nationwide, beating the 2019 record by more than 1,500. Errol Barnett reports.
About 86% of those firearms are loaded, and that presents a significant both safety and security concern.
TSA Administrator David Pekoski is worried about the record increase in guns discovered at checkpoints last year, even as travel remained below pre-pandemic levels.
What's causing it, I don't know exactly, but generally I think our weapons carriage detections reflect just more people carrying weapons in the country.
Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson was at the top of the TSA's list. 507 firearms were detected in 2021, up from 323 in 2019. And this was the scene after a gun was found by a TSA officer last November when the suspect reached in and accidentally discharged his weapon, causing chaos at the world's busiest airport.
That illustrates why loaded weapons are so dangerous, because it's very easy to discharge those weapons.
Dallas, Houston, Phoenix, and Nashville round out the top 5. Passengers can travel with the gun on an aircraft, but only safely and securely as checked luggage. Pekoski warns carrying a gun through a checkpoint will cost you.
Know that if you do have a weapon and it's detected in the checkpoint, it's first going to take you a lot more time. Secondly, there might be local law enforcement action. And third, we will follow up with a civil penalty action.
And that fine is nearly $14,000 in addition to whatever charges local police will bring. And you'll lose your TSA pre-check. All of that pretty costly for something that's absolutely preventable. And by the way, here at Reagan National, 30 guns were intercepted by TSA at the security checkpoint here last year. Errol Barnett, CBS News at Reagan National Airport.
The National Shooting Sports Foundation says in 2020, more than 8.4 million people bought a gun for the first time. That same year, a record 21 million background checks were conducted compared to 13.2 million in 2019. Final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, the latest on the American Red Cross's blood crisis. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more about a rise in area COVID-19 hospitalizations, plus why the Kansas Department of Health will no longer do contact tracing, and how families in Neosho and Seneca were able to get some free groceries. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Hope you had a chance to enjoy the weather we've had for the last couple of days because it's changing, Doug.
It is. It's going to get quite a bit colder as we go into the overnight hours tonight. By morning, we'll be sitting near freezing, and then we'll continue to just drop through the 20s as we go into the daytime hours. A little bit of light snow, especially along and south of Interstate 44, down to 11 tomorrow night.
It's too cold. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.